refresh, which is why you can't see your names up there. We also have Councillor Paquette on the list.
Councillor Paquette can go first. That's fine. Yeah, if he's ahead of me, that's all right.
Councillor Paquette, you're next.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll keep it short and quick. 100% support this. My only regret is that we just cannot find a way to provide more on such short notice. And a person would say short notice. I mean, you face this every year, which is true, but every year it is short notice in that we never know what the province is going to come up with. And because of that, there's really no way for us to budget appropriately. And so that makes it very, very difficult. I am glad that we'll be getting reporting back and learnings. I'm glad that through this effort, lives will literally be saved and people will be in a process of getting housed. And I'm just very appreciative of administration, who I think, even though we give them thanks, do not get enough thanks, especially on this file, for the way they go above and beyond. And it bears repeating, even though people maybe get tired of hearing it, that this is not a city file. It would be like asking the city to step up on military funding if the federal government didn't. This is not a city file. This is a provincial file. And we are playing stopgap on their policy abdication. And the misery and social consequences of that abdication spills into our streets and makes people unsafe. As has been learned over and over again, amputations, death, illness, lifelong impacts. And those choices cost more than doing the right thing. I will say, in a time when people are very concerned about Christ being out of Christmas because a tree is not in Churchill Square, I pray they remember that the words of Christ are that you love your neighbor as yourself, and that is his second great commandment. So maybe in this Christmas season, I hope that everyone, especially at the legislature, who claims this belief, remembers those words. The Good Samaritan. We have heard stories of heartbreak over and over again. We have lost people that many of us may even have known. And we will continue to lose more. We will continue to lose more. And until the provincial government steps up and decides to do the fiscally responsible thing and save Albertans money while saving Albertans' lives, we will be here again and again and again. Enough is enough. People are dying because of willful policy failures. So I am very happy that we are doing what we can, and we will always endeavor and strive to do more. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Councillor Knack?
Thank you, Councillor Wright. So I spoke to this at committee, and I'm not going to rehash any of those points other than, just echoing what Councillor Paquette said about the order of government that's ultimately responsible for it and the need for us to fill in the gap. What I actually wanted to focus on today, and sorry my time hasn't started there, is actually just a great, I want to express my deepest gratitudes to the residents in Ward Nakota-Eastka, because I wasn't sure what I was going to get when this announcement came. I think back to, Mr. Roca will remember, I think back to, pre-2013, before any of us were here except Mayor Sohi at the time, and, there was some issues in one part of the city when housing was being talked about. But I've seen that sort of evolve over the years, and truly to the point where I got, I think, just 2 or 3 messages from people who were offered, I don't need to talk about those messages. They weren't very constructive, let's put it that way. I got a handful of emails from people who were supportive, wanted to help, but still wanted to just understand safety and security and how they were going to work together. Not that they didn't want to see anything, but that they just wanted to make sure they could understand for their own selves as they live close by. But actually, it was probably 95% of the messages I got were all people strongly in support of this in the West End, of knowing the need that exists right now citywide, but in particular right now the gap that we have in the West End, because I think what everyone ultimately understood is that the individuals who are likely going to be in this space are already living in the West End. They're in our parks, they're in the Jasper Place Transit Center, they are in spaces where they aren't able to live humanely. And almost every single person that sent me a message, whether it's an email, a call, or a message on social media, was saying, I support this, how can we help, how can we donate, how can we provide to make sure everyone is being taken care of. And it's just really, it's really encouraging to see that shift over the years for Edmontonians to understand that this is a complex issue, and there's other orders of governments involved in how we ultimately solve this, but to know that in the short term, this needed to happen. And it was from across demographics too. The thing that I found most fascinating was, I was at Terralos's community AGM just before this, and that's a community made up primarily of seniors, and they have a number of encampments in and around their park spaces there, right by West End Senior Center. And maybe I had gone into that meeting assuming I was going to hear one thing, and I heard something very different from everyone in that room. From people who said, we didn't want to remove the encampments around our places because we knew that all that was going to happen was that they were going to be pushed away and not have the community around them, not have supports around them. And so everyone in that room was saying, hey, how do we make sure we get something in place? And so just wanted to share that because it's really encouraging knowing, we've talked about the need in the West End. There's all parts of the city that have this, but since this is a fairly significant addition to the West End, I'm just glad we had so many residents who understood that this is the right thing to do, and we're going to keep working on the permanent solutions. So thanks to all the residents in the ward for being so welcoming and supportive and ready to help, and I know that they're eager and willing to help support Jasper Place Wellness Center, who continues to do such phenomenal work in our city, and so to Taylor, and I see Murray in the back there too as well. Just thanks to both of you for continuing to help make the West End a better place for everyone, and let's get this open as soon as possible, and anything we can do, we'll be ready to help in the West End. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Knack. Councillor Tang, before we go to the mayor to close.
Great, thank you very much, Councillor Wright. Yes, a lot has been said, and hearing lots of comments through my inbox about, we'll fund if it's about life and death. And I think, at this point, it is about life and death. We've been receiving briefings every day about someone deceased, and that's just what's reported. Beyond the many thanks to the staff members, to the community partners stepping forward and making this happen, I also been reflecting a lot about the communities in West End, and I think to your point, Councillor Knack, and I want to thank them too. Several years ago when I was working at the city, there was a lot of conversations around distributed approach to service delivery. And that those services should not be concentrated in the downtown core because it adds to the burden. And I think that call has never been stronger than now. But I also understand the reality of, implementing a policy like that is incredibly difficult because of societal values, because of lots of different things. And so I think this, to me is also significant in that sense. So I just want to also, share my gratitude that way. I think there's a lot to learn here, and just you know, I know how difficult it is as someone who lives in a neighborhood that has a permanent supportive housing, who, you know, who would like to see that kind of approach, but, you know, recognizing the challenges. And I think the last thing I just want to maybe surface a little bit, and I have no doubt that the community partner, Taylor, and your team are doing this on a daily basis, but you know, I would just really encourage too that we have this opportunity and to really embed some practices for that constant iterative listening and surfacing those stories from people firsthand. And not just for the sake of listening, but listen for actionable insights that I call them. Because I think we have this a pretty incredible opportunity also for some innovation and creativity, maybe to discover new ways of working with mutual aid, you know, with partnering agencies, with folk community members themselves, and discover, I don't know, I feel like there's so many possibilities, but it starts with stories, and those bottom-up ideas, and looking for what can be maybe tested, tried, and if they have potential, how can we give them a boost? And so I hope, you know, I hope to hear stories like that too in the next 6 months as well, because I think more than about being sheltered and more than just about being housed, I think it's also about moving towards people's well-being. So I just want to end with that and thank the mayor for putting forward the motion and for all the people involved in making this happen.
Thank you, Councillor Tang. Mayor Sohi?
Yeah, you know, while we were discussing this very important item, and we just got another notice from our city staff that another Edmontonian has died this afternoon outside their tent, right? So this is a crisis that we are facing, and the known numbers from the police service, from the fire rescue, they confirmed 4 deaths over the last couple of weeks, and they confirmed another death yesterday, and these are the known deaths, and we hear from the community about unknown, unaccounted for deaths that are happening in our community, and all of them are preventable. All of them are preventable deaths. So I hope that council will approve this. I hope we approve it unanimously, because we need to show to the province that we are trying to fill those gaps, and we are compassionate people, that we will stand up and show up for Edmontonians when others don't, right? These are 209 spaces that will give people dignity, that will give people a warm place to go, right, at a time when that choice is not available. You know, we hear about shelter capacity often, but there are legitimate reasons that, as City Manager Corbold talked about the survey, why people don't go to a shelter. Because they are not afforded that dignity that people deserve in that place. And we need to create better spaces, and we need to have diversity of choices. One thing I hear about Calgary is that that they have 3 or 4 shelter providers, permanent shelter providers, and some of them are actually secular shelter providers, not faith-based shelter providers. So it gives that option to people. And we are still short on permanent shelters. I absolutely appreciate this province stepped up for temporary shelters, but we are still only getting, you know, we're only getting 1/3 of what Calgary is getting. And we were getting traction with province, then obviously leadership contest, and we are getting traction with this new government as well, right? With Premier and ministers, we've been back and forth communicating for the last week with Minister Scholz, with Minister Nixon, and spoke with Premier briefly yesterday. And that's why I'm going to bring forward a subsequent motion to elevate those conversations and speed up those conversations, that we can build on that the collaborative relationship that we're building with them, to help them realize that it's investing in people is about saving lives. It is about long-term sustainability. It's about reducing cost in healthcare and justice system and policing. From every aspect, makes sense to invest in permanent solutions in ending houselessness in Canada, in Alberta. And we are the wealthiest province. If we can't, I don't know who will, right? And I think we need to have those conversations, and I am hopeful that by us stepping up, we will be able to convince the province that they need to step up as well, and they need to fulfill their responsibility, because this is their responsibility. And I hope that council members will support this.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. Please vote.
Just
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. Thank you, and we'll move on to our next item.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes, I do have a subsequent. I apologize in advance that it's lengthy, but it's important that why it is lengthy, because I need guidance from council on our further engagement with province side. It's on the screen, and I will just hold on here. That the mayor, on behalf of City Council, request an emergency meeting with the Government of Alberta on the winter shelter crisis and the shelter space gap in Edmonton, and the following points are to be highlighted, and I'll read those points. There are currently more than 2,750 unhoused Edmontonians, and over 1,250 of those are sleeping in emergency shelters or outdoors. This situation has reached a crisis point due to declining temperatures, health, and security concerns. Alberta Health Services identified on November 30th, 2022, that 182 cases of Shigella, which is primarily affecting our unhoused neighbors. Recently, Edmonton Fire Services and Edmonton Police Services had confirmed the death of 4 Edmontonians living in encampments, and last night another unhoused neighbor was found dead on our city's streets. Shelter capacity has consistently been above 95% on cold nights, and between 150 and 400 people have been supported navigating from transit stations at closing. Significant inequity exists between the number of permanent shelter spaces funded for the City of Calgary compared to the City of Edmonton, as Calgary receives 3 times as many spaces compared to Edmonton. Even when the additional 450 temporary shelter spaces provided by the Government of Alberta are in operation, we still don't have enough spaces to meet people's needs. The City of Edmonton has been responding to this crisis, even though ending houselessness, providing supportive housing, and emergency shelter space is a core jurisdictional responsibility of the province of Alberta. The provincial government, under new leadership, has committed to addressing the affordability and mental health crisis. Therefore, immediate action is required by the province of Alberta to address the winter shelter crisis to save lives.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll
Second.
make the introduction after.
Okay.
Okay. Why it has to be lengthy, I'll explain that. I think it's very important that when I engage with ministers and the Premier's office, that I get a good sense from Council that these are the points that we need to raise with them, right, on an interim basis, but also long-term solution. Second, why I put forward this subsequent is that I need the weight of this council behind me when I go talk to ministers and the Premier, because sometimes they may say me just mayor coming, and I just need that strong support from council, that they know that I'm coming on behalf of entire council to talk about that there's consensus on these items from council. The urgency is that we were able to build a good working relationship with the previous administration under Kenny, and we are on a good path to do so with the new ministers and the Premier. My worry is that these kind of conversations need a lot of back and forth, a lot of education, and a lot of coordination from on our end, but also bringing ministers together. The reason that we got traction in the last administration that was we had 4 ministers sit with us on the same table hearing the same message. I want to have the same situation again under the new administration, that all the appropriate ministries that would come together at the same table, hear our story, hear our concerns, and hear Edmontonians' concerns. And window of opportunity is short because there will be election looming in May, and that's why the urgency is there, that we engage with them as quickly as possible. Even though we are funding more shelters, there will still be a shortage, I think, because there's so much hidden houselessness out there as well that we don't know about. So that's the rationale for having this subsequent motion.
Thank you. Any questions to the mover?
No.
Questions? Councillor Rice, go ahead.
In the motion, talk about attachment 3, and where is that attachment 3?
So there's no attachment. This is part of the subsequent motion now. So there's no attachment to be.
I'm reading the motion says motion to only one motion or 2 motions?
Just
Part
one motion.
2.
Just one motion.
Just one motions.
Yeah.
We'll scroll down so you can see the top part of the motion.
Yeah, because I'm looking for here. Yeah. Can I see the entire updated motion, because the email talk about 2 parts and also include attachment 3.
Councillor Rice, it's just the city clerk here. So that was an earlier version that was circulated in advance of some feedback. And so what's been incorporated here is not only in the chat, but it's also in the screen. It's also available in eScribe for you to see the whole thing.
So I am in the eScribe here. Yeah, I cannot see the entire motion. And is that possible to see the entire motion on the screen?
We can't show the entire motion on the screen. Our technology doesn't work that way. We do have it in the chat, though.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for this clarification.
That's all, Councillor Rice? Yep. Any other questions? Oops, Councillor Hamilton, can you take the chair for a moment? I do just have a question, and I'll try to click really quick here.
I have the chair.
Thank you. I don't want to be wordsmithing, but when the one line that we talk about affordability and mental health crisis, we're talking about housing affordability? Yes, sorry.
So so far, the province speaks about affordability in a broader sense, right? I think this will be our opportunity to talk about affordability with them, housing affordability with them, and shelter capacity and all that in that broader sense.
Okay, all right, thank you very much for the clarification. And mental health crisis, again, I think the province has been focusing more on school-age children, so we're looking at, again, the broader mental health of
Yeah.
all ages, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I'll take the chair back, Councillor Hamilton, thank you.
Return the chair.
And Mayor Sohi, did you want to close on
No,
that?
I think, I tried to articulate my thoughts in the last item, and also the content of this subsequent, is sufficient for us to make those points to the province. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, then we'll put that to a vote.
In favor, Jans.
Thank you, Councillor Jans. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. Thank you, and that finishes off our item 16.2. And clerk, can I get some guidance on where we go to next?
I'll take the chair.
Oh,
I'll
you'll
take the chair back.
Awesome.
I will take the chair back, and
Mr. Member,
another item that we can deal with is 11.1, landfill gas to renewable natural gas conversion project update. Councillor Stevenson, yeah.
Sorry, point of order. I selected that believing that all items on our agenda needed to be selected, but I don't have any questions on 11.1. I don't know if others do, but I just wanted to make that clarification if that allows us to simply vote
Yeah.
on the item.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any presentation on, this was at the utility committees, at the utility committee, so I'm going to go to Councillor, yes, it is a private report, right? So no introduction is required at this time or in public, right? So I'll ask, anybody has questions? If anybody has questions, then we go to private to discuss this. No questions.
So Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 11.1.
Okay, I'm going to
I apologize.
I'll go to Councillor Cartmel to move the item.
Sorry to
Councillor
interrupt, we just need a motion to bring it forward in the agenda.
Okay, Councillor Stevenson moved to bring it forward. Councillor Hamilton seconded to bring it forward. Please vote to bring it forward.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Now I'll go to Councillor Cartmel to move the recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. I'll move. Just making sure I have the right thing here. I'll move that the revised key terms of contract in attachment 1 of the November 25, 2022 City Operations Report CO01527 be approved, and that it replace the key terms of contract in attachment 2 to the City Report CO00171, and 2, that the November 25th, 2022 City Operations Report CO01527 remain private pursuant to Section 25, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of a public body of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act until the contract agreement is finalized.
Need a second, Councillor Stevenson?
Sure, second.
Second, okay. All right, please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. And that is all we can do today, and we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, we are adjourned, right?
Recess.
Recessed, right? That's what I meant, actually.
Adjourn.
Not adjourned. We need a motion to pass the budget before we can adjourn, right? So,
Now you're like,
okay,
now you're gonna go after procedures?
okay. All right, we